Hi, I'm Rick.
I'm Julie, and we're the Off-Grid Gringos. We live in Dorado Ranch in San Felipe, Mexico, about 3 miles from the Sea of Cortez.
In this video, we're going to introduce ourselves and talk about why we decided to move here and how we live off-grid. Later in the video, we'll go run some errands in town, which is about 10 miles from our house. See you later. Hi, I'm Rick. I grew up on a small farm in New Jersey about 50 miles from New York City. I went to college in California and got a BA in biology. But instead of going to medical school, I got a job at AT&T. In 1979, AT&T was the biggest company in the world and the main telephone company in America. The job was mainly clerical work for telephone company engineers. I worked there for 7 years until the government broke up the company. AT&T scientists invented the transistor and the solar cells used in solar panels. Then I decided to try house flipping and bought a 100-year-old brick Victorian house in St. Louis, which was totally gutted. Basically, we built a whole new house inside the brick shell. To get the electrical permit, I had to read the National Electrical Code and pass a test. After the wiring inspection, the inspector said I did a better job than most of the professionals. When it was finished, the house was beautiful. One of the bathrooms had a clawfoot tub with brass feet, and there was a balcony in front with wrought iron railing, just like the houses in the French Quarter in New Orleans. We sold it at a profit, but it took longer than we had planned. After that, I went to optometry school and became an optometrist. When doing eye exams on children that lived in the city, I noticed that many of them had asthma, as well as my own son. I wondered why. So I did some research and was convinced that air pollution from cars, trucks, and coal-burning power plants was the problem. This was in 2003. About the same time, I read about the consequences of climate change and wondered if wind and solar energy could be a solution to both of these problems. I decided to go to some renewable energy trade shows attended workshops, and started talking to a lot of people working in the industry. I became convinced that moving away from burning coal, gas, and oil was the solution. I wondered what I could do to get more solar panels and wind turbines installed while still working as an optometrist. I got a grant from a Spanish wind turbine company and began organizing renewable energy trade shows and workshops in Missouri. After a few years, I wrote a paper for a nonprofit in St. Louis, proposing a state ballot issue campaign for an RPS, a renewable portfolio standard, requiring the largest utilities to generate 15% of the electricity using renewable sources by 2021. Solar rebates were included. There was practically no wind or solar power in Missouri at that time. The group decided to go ahead, and the Missouri RPS passed with 60% of the vote in 2008. 2 years later, I met an engineer who offered me a job at his solar installation company. He said he had started the company because of the solar rebates in the RPS. Starting the RPS campaign had created my own job, and many others in wind and solar in Missouri. Ameren, the biggest electric company in the state, installed $1 billion worth of wind turbines to meet the RPS requirements. So in 2011, I gave up optometry after 19 years and started a new career installing solar panels on rooftops. That first solar job led to jobs in solar sales in bigger companies. I ended up at Sunrun, which is the biggest solar installation company in the United States. During the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, we decided it was time to go off-grid and try living on wind and solar power in Mexico. So here we are in San Felipe.
Hi, I'm Julie. I am the other half of the Off-Grid Gringos, and I married the crazy Rick 12 years ago. And I knew he was an environmentalist, and that was one of the things that really drew me to him, was his care of earth and nature. I was in a field of education, and we've lived all over the country, moved mostly because of me, and had also traveled significantly within Mexico. And we both loved it here. When things shut down and we were home together full time, we found out we really enjoyed having that time together. And we found out about a place called San Felipe, Mexico, where a lot of people can and do live off-grid. And after some talking together, we decided to come on down and build a home. It's the best decision that I've had in my entire life. And I often tell him that, like Kathleen Turner said to Michael Douglas in Romancing the Stone, "You're the best time I've ever had." San Felipe has been a glorious place for us to live and enjoy life and enjoy being together. And really, I think that's what everything's about. So I hope you enjoy our videos, and you will be seeing more of us, Off-Grid Gringos.
Okay. We love Mexico. We have been visiting places in Mexico for years. Here are some of the places we have been to: Cancun, Cabo San Lucas, Mazatlan, Puerto Vallarta, Guadalajara, Chapala, Ajijic, Ensenada, San Felipe, and Mexico City. When we thought about actually trying to move here, we picked Dorado Ranch Resort near San Felipe to buy a lot for a rebuilt travel trailer and build a ramada for it, and also a small house there where Julie's dad now lives. Our electricity comes from 26 solar panels totaling 7,000 watts and an 800-watt wind turbine.
San Felipe is only about 120 miles from the U.S.-California border and about 240 miles from San Diego. It's a small beach town, only around 20,000 people, so cost of living here is less than in the bigger resort cities and much less than anywhere in California. It's a small town, but it has many, many great restaurants and bars. The scenery here is incredible. We can see a 10,000-foot mountain from the back of our lot, and from the front, the Sea of Cortez.
San Felipe has Dorado Ranch Resort. Dorado Ranch is a large expat community of several thousand, mostly Americans and Canadians. We do not speak fluent Spanish, even though I studied it for years.
I don't speak fluent English either.
I know.
Keep going.
So we liked having access to the resort amenities, 24-hour gated security, and many people who speak English. The resort has heated pools, hot tubs, 2 restaurants, and an 18-hole golf course.
Dorado Ranch is big, at about 25,000 acres, close to the size of San Francisco. The ranch is designed with sufficient green space so that the lots all have ocean views, and it's probably the biggest solar community in North America. San Felipe has a supermarket, 6 gas stations, a bank, a health clinic, and many great restaurants and bars. It also has a hospital in town. It's a small town, but we feel very safe here. We love the friendly Mexican people.
I have been to most of the large national parks in the U.S., and I feel like the scenery here is as amazing as any of those places. And I feel like I live in one of those, but without the huge crowds and noise. This is the most peaceful place I have ever lived. We now invite you to ride along as we run some errands in our town, San Felipe. Okay. We're starting about 2 miles from home near our security gate. I guess it doesn't matter. Just hold it.
After passing through the gate, we come to the corner of our street and Highway 5, which goes between Mexicali and San Felipe. San Felipe is about 7 miles south of Dorado Ranch. At this corner across the street is a strip mall with our postal service called Sunrunner, a deli called Rancho Deli, and our favorite bar Jolly Mon. An Arco gas station and an Oxxo convenience store are also nearby.
Near the arch, when we get to town, there's an AutoZone and a 7-Eleven and another gas station.
A few blocks further on, we pass the Calimax and the Bodega. Calimax is our largest grocery store, and the Bodega next door is a small department store. We also have 2 grocery stores closer to our home in Dorado Ranch, the Rancho Deli and Gonzales Market.
And now we come to a roundabout in the center of town. Highway 5 continues on south on the right toward the airport. The hot springs at Puertecitos, about 50 miles, and the Valley of the Giants, Giant Cactus Grove, is about 20 minutes or 15 miles. Here at the roundabout, there are also 2 more gas stations, a Chevron, and a Pemex.
A few blocks more, we come to Copy Centro, which is our Office Depot type store, and Rick's going in to get himself some file folders.
Next we go to the bank, BBVA, where I get some cash at an ATM. There are 6 ATMs there, so I usually don't have to wait in line.
Our last stop in town is Agua Express, where we get our water bottles filled with drinking water. It costs about 5 pesos per gallon, or about 30 cents. They have reverse osmosis machine to filter the water.
Our last stop before we get back to El Dorado Ranch is at La Competencia, which is our Home Depot type store. Here I buy a circuit breaker so I can add an outlet in our trailer.
Back at the entrance to our subdivision at El Dorado Ranch, we see our medical clinic on the right.
After we pass through the gate, we see the pool on our right with bathrooms and showers in the building you see. From here, it is about 2 miles to our lot.
Hey friends, thanks for joining us today. We leave you today with a picture of our beautiful cactus in bloom. Do those YouTube-y things, give us a thumbs up, and like and subscribe. Until next time, we'll see you then.